Strong jobs report today may not be all that great, and Americans who can't cover a $1,000 expense. Hi, it's Edward, back with another video. Please take a moment to click the thumbs up button below and consider subscribing to the channel. Please also share this video with your friends. Thank you for your support. Today, I read several financial news articles. I've included links to the articles in the description below. I encourage you to read the articles to support the authors and news sources. As a private American citizen, I'd like to report and share my transformative thoughts through commentary regarding small sections of these articles that are of public interest. Today, I read an article on Yahoo Finance written by Ben Wirtschkel titled, "A Strong Jobs Report Complicates Jerome Powell's Political Dilemma as 2024 Election Nears." According to the author, a stronger than expected jobs report released Friday morning that surprised Wall Street means the central bank is even more likely to move any consideration of interest rate cuts closer to election day. Well, my friends, I found this to be very interesting. I think it is certainly a possibility. However, I have to wonder if the Fed, that is supposed to be independent, will get any political pressure to cut their Fed funds rate a lot sooner this year, as opposed to waiting closer to election day. I am sure there are a lot of people who believe the outcome of the election could possibly depend on lower rates. For example, Donald Trump was in the news today talking about Jerome Powell and interest rate cuts. He said, "I think he's going to do something to probably help the Democrats. It looks to me like he's trying to lower interest rates for the sake of maybe getting people elected." Well, my friends, I personally don't think our current interest rate environment is high at all. I think if we really have a healthy economy, people and companies should be able to function just fine in our current interest rate environment. I believe people and companies have gotten addicted to cheap money in the past decade and a half, and they are now throwing a temper tantrum wanting low rates again. Give some consideration to how higher rates have already caused some complications in the economy. Some organizations, especially some financial institutions, must have thought the low interest rate environment was never going to change. In 2023, we saw Silicon Valley Bank, Signature Bank, and First Republic Bank collapse. Do you think it was normal that U.S. authorities had to launch emergency measures on a Sunday to shore up confidence in the banking system after the failure of Silicon Valley Bank? I'd like you to also consider that there may still be some serious problems brewing in the commercial real estate market due to our current interest rate environment. This could be a slow-moving train wreck that hasn't yet crashed. I could be wrong, but I don't think a 25 basis point cut or a 50 basis point cut before the election is going to provide much relief to owners of commercial real estate who have to refinance in this higher interest rate environment. Who knows how much exposure some of the banks have to this junk paper. Now let's talk about today's jobs report. According to the author of this article, Friday's jobs report beat expectations across the board. The U.S. economy created 353,000 non-farm payroll jobs in January, according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics data. This was well above the 185,000 expected by economists. Wall Street cheered today, and the markets were up on this news. A lot of people were very excited about the jobs report. Meta shares were up approximately 20% at one point today, which I'm sure makes a lot of investors happy. If some commercial property owners go bust, they can always go spend their time in the metaverse to escape reality, since that company seems to be doing great right now. I visited the BLS site today and dug a little deeper into the jobs report. Did you realize that government employment continued to trend up in January with approximately 36,000 jobs added? So I want you to think about this for a moment. Approximately 36,000 of the jobs in the report today were created by our government that has over $34 trillion in debt. To me, it's a bit troubling that the government isn't trying to shrink its size to prevent this debt from getting any larger than it has to. Government jobs ranked 4th out of the jobs added, which was higher than manufacturing, which was ranked 5 on the list. Think about what I just said. New government jobs outpaced new manufacturing jobs. Manufacturing was the leading driver of employment for decades here in America. Total manufacturing employment peaked in June 1979 at 19.6 million. In the case of today's jobs report, government jobs added outpaced manufacturing jobs added. How times have changed here in America. Number 3 on the list was retail trade with 45.2 thousand jobs added. I don't think you have to be a rocket scientist to know that some jobs in retail don't pay all that well. So hooray, we have more retail jobs here in America, the greatest nation on earth. Understand, people who work in retail often work very hard. Many are on their feet all day and they have to deal with rude customers. Many have hours that change constantly and they are doing their best to earn an honest wage. I'm not discounting this at all. I'm just saying some jobs in retail don't pay all that well. Number 2 on the list was professional and business services with 74,000 jobs added. I don't have anything bad to say about this. Number 1 on the list was healthcare and social assistance, where over 100,000 jobs were added. The BLS breaks this down. Ambulatory healthcare services added 33,000 jobs. Hospital added 20,000 jobs. Nursing and residential care facilities added 17,000 jobs. So we may have a lot of sick people here in America, many of whom may struggle to pay for their healthcare needs, even with expensive health insurance. I'm not exaggerating here at all. Did you know that diabetes prevalence increased significantly between 2001 and 2021 for U.S. adults? It is truly tragic. According to the BLS, employment in social assistance rose by 30,000 in January, reflecting continued growth in individual and family services, up 22,000. Now, please understand, I think it is great that people who need social assistance or individual and family services are able to rely on the professionals who are employed in these areas. However, I worry that this may provide some insight into the stability of some households here in America if all of these new jobs were really needed. So that's what I think about today's great jobs report. What do you think? Share your thoughts in the comment section below. While a lot of new jobs were created, that does not necessarily mean that people are earning enough at them to thrive. I read an article today on Yahoo Finance, put out by Fortune, and written by Jane Thier, titled, "Most American Adults Don't Have Enough Savings to Pay an Emergency $1,000 Expense." According to the author, a stunning new Bankrate survey of 1,030 individuals finds that more than half of American adults, 56%, lack sufficient savings to shoulder an unexpected $1,000 expense. Of that number, 21% said they would go into debt by financing the spending with a credit card, while 16% would steeply cut back on other spending to bridge the gap. Another 10% would borrow from family and friends. 4% would take out a personal loan, and 5% said they would do something else. Well, my friends, my heart goes out to the people who are in this type of financial situation where they are unable to cover a $1,000 emergency expense with savings. Keep in mind, there was a very small sample size for this study, so who knows how generalizable the findings are to the entire population here in America. Still, I find this information to be interesting. I hope those who are struggling financially are able to increase their income or reduce their expenses moving forward so they can build up more emergency savings. I'd like to reflect further on today's jobs report. I have no doubt some of the jobs that were recently added here in America are good paying. I have no doubt some of these people are doing great financially, but I suspect that's not the case for everyone. The number one area where jobs were created in today's jobs report was healthcare and social assistance. I visited Indeed.com today and looked up certified nurse assistant jobs in New York City. There are several companies hiring. Out of all of the companies on page 1, the lowest hourly pay was $19 per hour, and most companies were hiring in the low $20 per hour range. The first company that showed up on the list was hiring for $23 per hour. This might be an example of a new healthcare job that was added in today's report. A certified nurse assistant often works hard and puts his or her life at risk in some cases every day. These people also serve humanity in so many ways. Now, if someone working as a certified nurse assistant in New York City is earning $23 per hour with no overtime and works 40 hours per week and works 52 weeks out of the year, we are talking about $47,840 per year. Let's say someone maxes out his or her 401k for the year with $23,000 in contributions, which is what is allowable in 2024. Now we are down to only $24,840 per year before taxes are taken out. I visited apartments.com and put in New York, New York, and the cheapest apartment available was on 542 West 147th Street, Unit B, which is renting for $725 per month. The next cheapest apartment was $750 per month, and the next after that was $900 per month. They got more expensive from there. If someone working this job was fortunate enough to rent this $750 per month apartment, you know they are going to be paying utilities, and most people today are going to want at least internet. By the time you factor all of this in, you are easily at $1,000 per month for housing expenses. Subtract that $12,000 for the year from whatever you have left after taxes are taken out of your $24,840, and you don't have much money left over for food, healthcare, car insurance, fuel, car maintenance, toiletries, or entertainment. You can begin to understand why some people may not have the ability to cover a $1,000 expense in their life using savings. Now you could say someone doesn't need to max out his or her 401k each year. Sure, someone may not need to do that, but then they risk the possibility of reaching an age where they can no longer work a physically demanding job, but they don't have enough money to retire either. Depending on the healthcare organization that you work for, a certified nurse assistant job could be physically demanding. You may be on your feet a lot during the day. You may be having to move overweight patients. It may not be a job that some people can feasibly do in their late 60s or early 70s. This is why retirement should be taken seriously as early as possible in one's career, in my humble opinion. Let's reflect back on today's jobs report. Healthcare and social assistance were lumped together in the chart that I looked at, where over 100,000 jobs were at it. I visited Indeed.com again today and looked for social worker jobs in New York, New York. This is another job that serves humanity. These people have an incredibly difficult job in many cases. One social worker job that I found started at approximately $32 per hour. Someone like this is going to be making slightly more than a certified nurse assistant starting at $23 per hour. Still, there is not going to be much money left over after each payroll cycle living in an expensive area like New York. Yes, someone doesn't need to live in New York. Someone could live somewhere less expensive, but you may possibly have a lower starting wage in a less expensive area of the country. Now I know some of you are going to say this is not realistic because many households have two incomes. And I'd agree with you. Many households do have two incomes, but that's not the case for everyone. There are plenty of single people out there. There are also plenty of families that only have one breadwinner and they have children. I didn't even factor children into my calculations earlier. Daycare, clothes, and school supplies can get very expensive, making it even more difficult to have money left over for emergency expenses. I haven't even mentioned student loans. Someone may have taken out student loans to get a 4-year degree to become a social worker. Depending on the person's income level, there may still be a monthly student loan payment, even after some relief that may be provided by Biden's SAVE plan. You can begin to see why some Americans are unable to cover a $1,000 emergency expense with their savings in the current economic reality in our country. I know there are likely countless examples of people working in healthcare and social assistance areas that are earning high wages. I just want you to understand that is not the case for everyone. I want you to also consider the types of jobs and the lifestyle that those jobs afford in some areas listed in today's jobs report. That may shed some light into why many Americans can't afford to cover a $1,000 emergency expense with their savings. What do you think about this? Share your thoughts in the comment section below. Please keep in mind that everything in this video is for entertainment purposes only, and nothing in this video is financial advice or advice of any kind. If you need advice, seek advice from a qualified professional in good standing who puts your interests first and foremost. If you enjoyed this video, consider subscribing to the channel. Please also consider sharing this video with your friends. I want to extend a special thanks to everyone who has subscribed to this channel. I want to also thank all of my channel members. Check out some of the great books that I suggest you consider reading in the description below. I've included Amazon affiliate links to these books. As an Amazon associate, I earn from qualifying purchases. Stay healthy and wealthy. I'll see everyone in the next video.